The velvet moss forest was a place of hush and lullaby, where the smallest whisper could linger for days and the dew glimmered on every mossy stone. In that dreamy, soft realm, night was a blanket that tucked every being away in gentle slumber. Even the squirrels and beetles, who chattered and skittered all day, would curl into balls of fur and shell, surrendering to dreams. All except for one. Dream was a peculiar mushroom. His skin was the color of a blushing petal, and his cap was round and glossy, reflecting even the faintest light like a polished gem. He grew at the forest's edge, where the sun's golden threads flickered through the high canopy and the scents of wet bark and sweet loam mixed with every breath. Dream was small, even by mushroom standards. Yet in his tiny heart, he held a question far bigger than the forest itself. While the others basked in sleep, Dream became a creature of the night. The forest, in those secret hours, felt as if it belonged only to him. He listened to the crickets, their music a gentle ticking, and watched the heavy dew gather, trembling, on the tips of ferns. Overhead, the moon sailed in silence, painting silver patterns on everything beneath. Dream saw it all. The nighttime ballet of moths in their fluttering silks. The fox's shadow stitched to the ground by moonlight, moving quietly along hidden paths. But none of these nocturnal wonders satisfied the longing swelling in his chest. What was it about dreams that made his friends murmur and smile in their sleep? What did they see behind their closed eyes that was better than the beauty of this velvety, starlit world? "Sister Long Mushroom," Dream whispered one dawn, his pink skin dewy and cool. "What is a dream made of? Is it soft, or sharp, or warm?" He yearned to understand. Surely something so treasured must be more than invisible thoughts. Sister Long Mushroom trembled sleepily, a hush of whispery exhalations drifting from her gills. "Dreams," she sighed, her voice spinning around Dream like a breeze, "are lighter than seeds on the wind. When you sleep, they find you and take you to places only your heart knows." Dream listened carefully, but the words slipped between his fingers like water. He watched as Sister Long Mushroom leaned into her pillow of moss, already halfway back to wherever her dreams would take her, a place Dream could never reach. Yet he did not envy her, not quite. Instead, he was filled with a restless curiosity, the kind that prickled from his crown to the tips of his tiny roots. Days drifted by, and with them came the gentle, endless rain. All around, the world shrank into mist and silence. Drips pattered on the leaves, on Dream's cap, on the ground, and stones, and the tangled webs of the sleeping spiders. Dream stood awake amidst the hush, feeling as though he was outside everything, a quiet outsider watching a magic show through a window. He watched the rivulets crawl down thick ferns. He heard the hollow laugh of a distant owl, and the soft, secret murmur of leaves in their sleep. Still, no dream visited him, not even in the edges of waking. Sometimes, as night fell and the storm clouds swept away on secret breezes, Dream heard the other mushrooms murmuring in their sleep. "Did you see that?" one might whisper at dawn, stretching tall against the new sunlight. "I traveled on the foam of the river and met a dancing firefly queen." Dream wanted to ask, "How do dreams find you? Do they sing a song, or follow the wind?" But every time he tried, the mushrooms had already begun to yawn, their soft words lost in mist and daylight. Dream was lonely, but also stubborn. Somewhere deep down he knew, if dreams were the mysterious doors his friends walked through in their sleep, perhaps he could find his own way, awake. It was on one such night, with the moon a brilliant smile hanging above the breathless forest, that Dream could wait no longer. A trembling excitement danced inside him like sunlight on water. He bent down, feeling the gentle cling of earth around his roots, and with a shiver of both fear and hope, pulled himself free. The forest floor, cool, springy, and alive with old scents and secrets, welcomed his tiny feet. His world grew big all at once. Shadows stretched ahead, ferns taller than houses looked down at him like watchful friends, and stones glistened in the moon's luminance. Each sound was both new and ancient. An owl peered down at him, puzzled. A mushroom on the move was truly something strange. Dream set out, his steps tiny but determined. He journeyed past the twisted oak, whose roots curled in sleep. He tiptoed through carpets of moss, softer than the pillows of sleeping squirrels. The night air was fragrant with rain and mossy earth, and Dream breathed it in, filling himself with hope. As he wandered, the silent world of sleep did not frighten him. Instead, he felt alive in the hush, awake to stories unfolding in every petal, every pebble. A glowworm's lantern beckoned him onwards. He paused to listen to water gurgling over stones like distant laughter, wondering if that too was a sort of dream, one you could only find wide awake. If I cannot dream with my eyes closed, he thought, I will look for dreams with them open. I will be a collector of waking wonders, a seeker on moss and moonlight. And so the journey began. With every tiny, careful step, Dream crossed into the unknown, away from the safety of his patch by the forest's edge and into a realm woven with adventure. He did not know what he would find, or whether he would ever taste the dreams of sleep, but his spirit glowed warm as the stars above, shining with questions, courage, and a hope that, one day, he might find a dream of his own. The velvet moss forest slept peacefully as always, unaware of the small pink mushrooms setting off beneath the moon. Yet, in the secret heart of the night, something had awakened, a story in motion, a quest unfurling with each soft footstep. The mushroom that could not sleep had set out to find what dreams were made of, and perhaps, in the process, would discover something even more wonderful. The magic of being wide awake. The night forest was draped in a gentle hush, each tree standing still beneath the soft watch of the moon. Silvery light cascaded from above, pooling on the backs of leaves and glistening across the moss in delicate honey-colored patterns. Under this tranquil sky, Dream, no more than a humble mushroom, new to the world beyond his stump, walked softly. His tiny feet pressed into pillows of decaying leaves, each step gifting a faint, secretive rustle, as though the ground carried stories only the forest could read. Dream moved with a sense of quiet purpose. For the longest time he had stood on his mossy perch, watching the world of the woods go by, content in stillness. But tonight, something had changed. Perhaps it was the way the stars blinked, or maybe how the branches arched over the path as if inviting him onward. Wrapped in their protective canopy, Dream felt both small and infinite, like a note in a symphony played for no audience at all. His mushroom cap was dusted with a fine shimmer of dew, casting prismatic sparkles whenever a stray shaft of moonlight kissed it. There were no sounds but those of Dream's own travel, the gentle creak of a drying twig, the sigh of moss pressing back under his weight, and the distant call of a night bird that seemed more memory than reality. But then, as Dream made his way further, something new stirred the air. It wasn't the familiar cool gusts that crept between tree trunks or the wild, untamed winds that lashed at the forest during a storm. No, this breeze was warm and gentle, wrapping its arms around Dream like an invisible embrace. It smelled of lavender and a sweetness like that found after rain has washed the world clean. The breeze slipped past Dream's cheek, coaxing his attention, then danced around him in playful spirals, a silken ribbon in a ballroom of shadows. Dream paused, blinking in astonishment. The wind did not shriek or howl as he'd so often heard, but instead began to whisper, its voice barely tangible, a secretive lullaby that seemed woven from the hush of leaves and the pulse of hidden streams. As it circled him, the wind's song grew clearer, a soft voice drawn from nowhere and everywhere at once, drifting down from the high, whispering boughs. Little one, where are you going in this misty night? The question was a caress, neither demand nor challenge, but an invitation to open his heart. Dream shivered, not with fear, but with the wonder of being seen, of being gently addressed by something so ancient and mysterious. He steadied himself, gathered the courage that came when curiosity outgrew hesitation, and spoke in his quiet, earnest voice. I am looking for a dream, he replied, unsure if the wind would understand. Because I don't know what a dream is, and I can't sleep. Silence followed, thick and thoughtful. The only movement was the wind itself, pausing as if considering Dream's confession. Then, soft as night rain falling on ferns, the wind laughed, a sound as fragile and light as a blossom landing on the forest floor. "Oh, I have heard this story before," whispered the breeze, amusement mingling with sympathy. "I am the whispering wind. I carry dreams from faraway lands. Some dreams are like invisible music, notes that only the night creatures hear. Some are fish that float in the sky, swimming through moonbeams. Some are flowers growing upon the backs of swallows, carried to the ends of the earth." Dream's eyes widened in wonder. To him, such things seemed impossible, yet the gentleness of the wind's voice made them feel tantalizingly close. "Can you see those dreams?" he whispered, his hope as delicate as a wish dandelion. The wind swirled nearer, its invisible fingers brushing the edges of Dream's cap. "Maybe. But only if your heart is quiet enough to listen for what's left unsaid, and your eyes know how to close when the time comes." Dream's shoulders drooped. "But I don't know how to sleep," he admitted sadly. "I've never done it. I don't know what it means to close my eyes and find dreams inside." At this, the wind stroked him very gently, as one might soothe a child restless in the night, lost in thoughts of the world beyond. "Then let's go see Mr. Dreamy-Eyed Cat," the wind suggested, kindness radiating in every syllable. "He is an old cat who lives upon a branch of an ancient tree right in the heart of the forest. He knows more about sleep than anyone you'll ever meet. He dreams in impossible colors and impossible shapes. Once he dreamed he was a flower, carried by the wind through 7 forests. Another time, he dreamed that laughter could be orange or silver or blue, depending on who was laughing. Those who meet Mr. Dreamy-Eyed Cat and listen closely often find the doorway to Dreamy-Eyed itself, a passage to the secret heart of dreaming." Excitement perked up Dream's mushroom cap, making it tremble with anticipation. "Where do I find him?" The wind teased a golden leaf from the ground, spinning it high into the air, its path illuminated by the shifting moonlight. Slowly the leaf pointed east, toward a corner of the forest where the light turned lush and mysterious with purples and grays. "Follow the path of the leaves," the wind sighed. "There's no rush and no need to be afraid. Dreams hide in the patient places, places only found when you take your time." With that, the whispering wind faded, so gracefully that Dream couldn't be sure it had ever truly been there, or if perhaps this was already the start of his dreaming. Nevertheless, Dream set forth. The carpet of moss felt softer beneath his steps, and the silence that followed was not empty but full of promise. He walked on, his spirit buoyed by a tender warmth glowing in his chest, a small, brave light to guide him deeper into the mystery. Somewhere ahead, Mr. Dreamy-Eyed Cat awaited, and with each soft, russet step, Dream was just a bit closer to discovering the world of dreams, the world he'd been waiting for all his life. Dreamy, filled with trembling anticipation, paused at the base of the mighty apricot tree, a giant among giants with bark shimmering like silver water beneath the moon. It radiated a gentle sweetness, a fragrance that curled around Dreamy like a rare morning when hope arrives uninvited. Long strands of moss, pale and soft as fairy curtains, hung from the high branches and swayed gently, touched by a breeze that seemed to carry secrets. It was here, high above the ground where the world softened into a hush, that Dreamy spotted the sleeping cat. Curled atop a branch thick with moss, the old cat looked as if it had slumbered in that spot for 1,000 years. Its fur was tangled with green moss that grew like a blanket across its back, while the tip of its tail twitched, as if lost deep within the landscape of dreams. The cat barely stirred, its breath rising and falling with a rhythm as old as the tree itself. Gathering his courage, Dreamy stepped onto the lowest root, surprised at how easily his body seemed to float upward, how each step felt guided, lifted almost, as if the tree and all its inhabitants wished for him to reach that sleeping guardian hidden in the leaves. The air grew cooler and sweeter as he climbed, the perfume of apricots and moonlit moss filling his lungs, until finally, Dreamy stood before the old cat. Even before Dreamy could form a greeting, a quiet voice seemed to emanate from the very stillness. The cat's mouth barely moved, yet words spun through the air, soft and shrouded in mystery. "A strange mushroom comes in the night." The voice drifted like mist, dreamy and elusive. "You want to learn how to dream, right?" Startled, Dreamy stammered his reply. "You are sleeping? Mickey, akite piqué?" Without so much as a flicker of an eyelid, the cat replied, I always sleep, but I never stop listening. My sleep is as long as tree roots and as deep as an ancient well. The words seemed somehow both everywhere and nowhere, as if they came from the dream that still clung to the cat's fur. Still trembling, Dreamy steeled himself and settled beside the cat, curling into an anxious question. I want to dream, but I don't know how. I don't know how to let go of consciousness. The old cat's whiskers moved in a thoughtful dance. To dream, you must learn how to let go of consciousness, like a leaf falling slowly, not afraid of the ground, not in a hurry with the wind. Falling is a journey, not an end. A yawn escaped the cat's muzzle, arcing through the hush like the first note of a lullaby. Then in the quiet that followed, the cat began to speak. The very wind in the high branches stilled in anticipation. Even the ferns below seemed to wait. And so began the three riddles. The first riddle drifted like feathers. Are dreams heavy or light? Dreamy frowned, remembering the whispering wind and the delicate things that inhabited his imagination. Flying fish, silent melodies. When he spoke, his answer was barely a whisper. Light, light as smoke. So light that no one could hold it. A gentle rumble of approval rolled from the cat. Yes, because if it were heavy, how could the dream fly into the mind? The second riddle followed, more puzzling yet hauntingly simple. Are dreams real? Dream pondered long on this. Memories surfaced. Stories told by Sister Namdai of lakes that sang beneath the moon. He weighed reality, questioning what it meant for something to be real if it lingered in the heart. Finally, he replied, not necessarily real, but sometimes what isn't real becomes real after we dream about it. The old cat's purr became a small, satisfied laugh, warm as a hidden ember. Smart. Dreams are seeds. Not all seeds sprout, but those who do not dream will never have trees. The third riddle was gentler still, a question that seemed as old as the night itself. So how do you dream? This time, Dreamy did not reach for the answer. He let his mind drift, imagined the weightlessness of a leaf circling toward earth, the quietness of a still lake, the simplicity of letting go. Finally, in a voice woven with newfound wisdom, he answered, when the heart is as light as a feather, and the heart is as calm as a lake, the dream will come. For a moment, silence hung between them, so deep the forest itself seemed to exhale in relief. Then, as if in benediction, the cat nodded. You are ready. With a slow, graceful movement, the cat raised a velvet paw, traced a small circle into the air, and breathed a warm sweetness into its heart. The glowing ring floated toward Dreamy, and when it touched his brow, it was as if the world hushed in respect. The rustle of leaves, the murmuring ferns, even the gentle hum of the night. Everything fell silent, as if silence was a gift, not an absence. Dreamy closed his eyes. He no longer feared what waited behind his lids. Instead, he welcomed it. He felt his eyelids soften, his thoughts dissolve into a comfortable haze. The ground below became weightless, a gentle cocoon of wind and dew. His heart floated, unburdened, in some beautiful unknown current. From a distant place, music began to play, a melody that shimmered like stardust, punctuated by the laughter of unseen children. In the pale blue of night, he saw a flight of butterflies, each one stained with the colors of dawn light and hope, swirling upward toward the singing stars. Dreamy had learned. He drifted, safe and whole, into the world of dreams, where every question blossomed into wonder, and every answer became a seed, waiting for morning. Under the tranquil canopy of leaves shimmering with moonlight, Dream nestled silently on his mossy perch, a small, unassuming hat in the sky's embrace. Since the moment he had settled in, the wind's playful song had calmed, until all that remained was a faint, receding whisper, the forest's lullaby inviting him into slumber. As each gentle sound faded, stillness took root, surrounding him with the hush of ancient trees and the unbroken promise of nighttime peace. That was when Dream felt the soft weight of sleep settle in. And within that quiet, he drifted into his very first dream. In that dream, Dream forgot he was merely a tiny mushroom watching the world from his towering branch, trying to glean every secret the night could offer. Instead, he became something else, something freer, lighter. He found himself perched upon a round, velvety mushroom boat, its cap gently curving beneath him like a cradle built by the moon. But this was not a boat upon any river or pond. It glided through the air, suspended effortlessly amid layers of glowing silver clouds and stars that twinkled not out of cold distance, but it seemed out of affection. Stars that giggled as dreams sailed by, as if sharing an inside joke only the sky understood. The whispering wind arrived, not as a chill or a gust, but as music without words. A swirling ribbon of song looping playfully around the boat. Its melody was light as silk, curling and dancing. And where the wind whirled, even the sleepy clouds began to pirouette, drifting in slow, graceful waltzes. Each cloud, plump and translucent, had wide, blinking eyes rimmed with crystal lashes. As Dream glided by, the clouds regarded him with curiosity and warmth. Some sent him gentle greetings as they wept shimmering, happy raindrops. Others smiled with hushed rainbows arching delicately within their vapor. Ahead, in the sky's more mysterious reaches, a chorus assembled. A flock of wise gray owls, each wearing perfectly round, shining spectacles, flew in tidy formation. They sang a song with no words, a melody soft as the brush of feathers on crystal. The notes shimmered, filling the dream with a feeling both achingly sweet and hauntingly distant. It made Dream's heart leap with the lightness of a dandelion seed caught by the breeze, spinning and soaring without care or gravity. For the first time, Dream stopped searching for understanding. In this new world, explanations fell away. There was nothing to solve, nothing to unravel, only the simple, profound joy of feeling, the quiet certainty that here, in this place, everything belonged and everything made sense in the language of dreams. The mushroom boat drifted close by a fabled branch of the star tree, an ancient bough shimmering with blossoms of starlight. There, curled up and still as a shadow, Mr. Dreamy-Eyed Cat slumbered, a contented smile lingering on his face. Even with his eyes closed, he seemed to notice Dream's passing. With a faint, knowing nod, the cat conveyed a message without words. You have found it. Your own dream. Emboldened by that silent approval, Dream gazed around, letting every sound and sight seep into him. The rustle of silvered leaves, the cool embrace of cloud mist on his cap, the music tracing loops around his tiny form. He welcomed each sensation, carving them into the soft pages of memory. Slowly, as all dreams do, this world began to fade around the edges. Just as dawn's earliest glow threaded through the forest canopy, a single radiant dewdrop descended from an overhanging leaf. It landed on Dream's mushroom cap with gentle surety. A cold touch, yet somehow warmly familiar, as if the waking forest had reached out to greet him, congratulating him on his journey. Dream awoke, stretching his senses before he stretched his tiny body. The world was both the same and entirely new. The moss glowed greener, shadows danced in softer shapes, and even the distant river's hush sounded nearer and kinder. His heart felt lighter than it ever had before, buoyed by the secret he now carried. There were no questions demanding answers, no restless hunger to understand. Everything he needed, he already knew. He had learned it in his dream. Leaving the branch, Dream moved softly, retracing his steps through the forest paths he had come to know. Each stone and patch of moss, each twist of bramble and arching root sparkled with fresh significance, brighter simply because he saw with new eyes, eyes that had learned to dream. He welcomed familiar scents and ordinary shapes as if greeting old friends. Soon he found his way to the corner of the forest where he belonged, a spot under the apricot tree's leafy shadow. There, with gentle care, he nestled into his favorite hollow, tucking roots beneath him, letting the soft ground remember his weight once more. From that night forward, something had changed. With the moon's first silver rise, Dream's eyelids would drift shut, not out of exhaustion, but with the soft assurance that somewhere on the other side of sleep, a gentle world awaited him. He did not fear the mysteries of the night, nor wrestle with the silence of the dark. Sleep became a doorway, not into darkness, but into a realm where every moment was soft, and every breath was as calm as the sighing leaves. No longer was dreaming a puzzle or a hidden art. It was a gentle companion, a friend he could trust, waiting patiently behind every blink and every soft exhale. Dreams became invitations to peace, gentle reminders that while the world bustled on, it was possible to slip away, slowly, quietly, to a place lit by moonbeams and watched over by kind-eyed clouds. Night after night, Dream would let himself slip through that tender gap between waking and sleep, knowing he was never truly alone. The giggle of stars, the sigh of old trees, and the distant echo of a wise cat's approval followed him quietly through every dream. And so, as moonlight pooled softly on the high branches and the world around him slowed, Dream would surrender to his gentle world, one as peaceful and lovely as the silver-lit moss beneath his cap, and as boundless as the hush that settles just before dawn. Thank you everyone for your interest. Please like and subscribe to the channel to receive notifications of more stories.